Today on Poppa Paints, we're outdoors, and Robin is with me. There she is.
Hello.
And we're on a trail near Dunnellon, Florida, and we're taking some pictures. And then the rest of the video, I'm gonna use one of those pictures as a reference photo. Maybe one that Robin took.
Well, you've been taking some nice ones.
Maybe me. Yeah. Anyway, let me show you where we are, and then I'll continue. Oh, I see things out there. Oh, a duck. There's a duck out there. Hold on. Okay, so this is where we are, and there's ducks out there. You see those ducks? See those birds? Yeah, so today on Poppa Paints, we're on a field trip. On a field trip on this beautiful trail here near Dunnellon, Florida. Yeah, there might be more than one Dunnellon. Look at that beautiful place.
Birds are talking.
Beautiful cypress tree.
Looks like a little jungle view, doesn't it?
I know, it's beautiful.
Isn't it?
All right. Oh, look at that tree up there, just dead, standing tall. All right. All right, let's get going with the painting. Well, that was a fun intro. Hopefully you enjoyed it. So yes, we went walking on the Dunnellon Trail, and there was a trail next to the Dunnellon Trail called the Pond Trail, which was the first part of what we walked. And in that video right there, we were already on the Dunnellon Trail, which was paved, but the first part was not paved. And so we took some reference photos, and let me show you them here. So here are some of them, just a few of them. And then I'm going to use this one right here as the reference photo for today's art. Now I'm going to show you the art because I'm doing this part of the video last. I'm going to show it to you. This is a great example that reference photos, our artwork doesn't need to look exactly like the reference photo. But anyway, so here's the painting that I did from our walk, and it was just a great walk. I want to show you one thing before we get started. We even saw an alligator in the river. So let me show you that. Yes, I know it was an alligator. But you gotta admit, he was cute. He was cute. He was maybe 4 feet long. He wasn't gigantic, but big enough to bite your finger off. Anyway, let me show you how I painted this, and let me know what you think about maybe going out, maybe more often, huh? And maybe even doing the whole video outside somewhere. Be kind of fun. Summer's here. There should be plenty of nice days. So, all right, let's get to it. This is what we're going to paint today, and let's go to that video. All right, so a little bit longer intro than I typically have with these videos, but I thought it would be fun to do a little bit of hiking and then getting some reference photos that we could work from. So today, as you know, it's just a simple landscape with dappled light and a trail. A trail that was so beautiful. It really was. And it was beautiful to be there as well as to see it. And part of the reason it was beautiful is because it was a beautiful morning. The air was cool. And I you know, sometimes you forget that Florida isn't, at least central Florida. I'm in north central Florida, so you know, the tropical, really hot places are further south. But it does get hot here. I don't want to fool you. It really does get hot here. However, it was not hot yesterday. And they say it's not going to be hot today either. They say it's going to be another cool morning. So it was the perfect day to go walking. And we walked, I don't know if I said this in the intro, But we walked, I think we walked 4.6 miles or something. We walked over 4 miles, which was really good. You know, it's really, really good. It's not usual for me. I need to walk. My doctor says I need to walk. And I've been walking. But I haven't been walking 4 miles. See, I have a goal. I have a strange bucket list. You want to hear my bucket list? My bucket list is that I will comfortably be able to do 5 miles. Now, when I was younger, I did like 9 or 10 miles, no problem. I remember because I lived, when my family first moved to Florida, we lived in this very remote area. And it was 4.5 miles from the nearest anything. It was literally 4.5 miles from the nearest anything. And the anything I'm referring to was a little store that sold sodas and things like that. It was a gas station, actually. And yeah, they sold stuff. So, and I was only 17, and walking 4.5 miles when you're 17 is no big deal. But anyway, that's a long time ago. So now, and I worked in radio for a long time. I'm going to blame my job for being sedentary, because radio, you know what you're doing. You're sitting in a studio. And yeah, that can kind of be an issue. So anyway, so I had a good time walking yesterday, and so 4 miles was a good thing. Just adding this. What I'm doing here, I'm just getting a little of these background colors here for what's going to be behind the trees. Now, I showed you the reference photo, and I am not trying to recreate that. I'm just using it as a reference. It's just, it's just a way to have a guideline, a guide, to come up hopefully with a picture that's pretty, that people like to look at, or a painting that you're happy with. And there's no way I can get there's got to be hundreds of thousands of leaves in this picture, obviously. So there's no way I can do all that. And I'm putting the sun kind of really large right there. You see the white spot right there? So we'll get that. Trying to get some dark areas here and there. Down here with it close to the camera. In this case, it really was a camera on my phone. But this was such a beautiful walk. I don't know if I told you in the beginning of this, but do you know, after we moved to Florida, the area where we started out with this walk was super familiar to me, but I never knew about the pond that we walked around on this video, on this day that Robin and I discovered. And when we went the other day, we went there for something else, and I saw a bench. Robin and I both saw a bench, and we said, I never saw that bench there. And then we went and looked at the water, and we thought we were looking at the river. But we weren't. We were looking at the pond, which was all new. All new. We did not know that was there. So that was very cool. So, all right, just trying to create almost a, not abstract, but an impressionistic painting of the area. Trying to keep it very super loose. Super loose. What color is that? I'm not always sure what color I have here. We want to make sure some of these, what color is that? What color is? Do I have a brown in here somewhere? I guess it would be that right there. you know. So just keep the light. This light is going to be shining down. We want to have that at the end of the tunnel sort of look, you know, over there, and a lot of tree shadows going across. There was a lot of roots on this trail too. I'm not going to try to paint in the roots, but there were a lot. You got to be careful not to trip on them, you know. So that's part of hiking. I don't consider myself a big hiker, but I was yesterday. Yes. Well, I'll put it to you this way. The first part of the walk, which is only about a mile maybe, was hiking because you're on the ground. You're not on a paved surface. But then after that, it became a paved surface, and it was an old railroad line. And I will tell you, there was a sign on the bridge. There was a sign with information on it, and that information indicated that the Cross Florida Barge Canal, which was proposed 100 years ago or whatever, which never was completed because of a lady, mostly because of a lady named Marjorie Harris Carr. And she, apparently at that time, you know, we honor her now because we have these areas that are named after her, but apparently at that time, she was kind of a thorn in their side, the people who wanted to build the canal. So she raised her voice and she said, if you dig a canal across Florida, you are going to hurt the environment. Now this was before environmentalism was a big thing. Like a lot of people were always just going along with whatever the people with money wanted. But Marjorie Harris Carr stood up to them, and she said, "You're going to ruin the underwater ground, the water underground. You're going to ruin the aquifer." That's what it's called. And believe it or not, they listened to her. But the sign, so they didn't build the canal. It would have gone from, I guess, like near Yankeetown, if you know where that is. It's on the Florida's Gulf Coast, and about halfway down the state, I guess you would say. And then it would go northeast. The canal would have gone northeast all the way up to Jacksonville, which is up in the northeast part of the state. So yeah, it would have gone from southwest to northeast. Is the trail it would have taken. And anyway, they said that what happened was, because she was so strong in her opinion and she had some support, apparently. I don't think she could have done it without support from people. So they canceled. Even as early as the 1970s, I think, they were still arguing this thing. And so they canceled the plans to build a canal. And there was one elected official, and they named him on this sign that I'm telling you about. There was one elected official, and he offered a compromise, and his compromise was to build a railroad line so that what they wanted it for was to transport goods, products, things like that. So he offered a compromise to build a train line so that you would take the products by boat up the finished part of the canal, and then the rest of the way it would go by train. And they went along with it. So they built this railroad line. And it went, I guess, the whole way. I guess it did. It must have, right? So now they don't use that train line anymore. And they tore up those train tracks, and in its place they put this paved walkway. Now, I had been familiar with the Rails to Trails program. Rob and I we used to bicycle the Rails to Trails, and but I never knew it was as a compromise to the canal. It was very interesting to me to learn that. So, okay, I try to make sure we get that trail in there. Right now it looks almost like a reflection in the water, but we don't want that. Maybe we'll make the horizon a little bit lower here. Yeah, so it was a learning experience. Plus, did I tell you already we saw a gator, an alligator? Yep. Not a big one, but big enough that it would hurt you if you were in its bad end. But it was very amazing to see. I like to consider the alligators as the animal we love and fear. We don't hate it. We love it and we fear it. Yeah. Everybody loves to see the alligators. There was the alligator was under the bridge that went over the Withlacoochee River. And there was a young mother and her child, her little boy, and they were walking across the bridge. And Robin said to them, "Look, there's an alligator down there." And you could just hear the excitement in the little boy's face, in his voice. Yep, probably in his face too. If I was looking at it, I wasn't looking. I was looking down at the alligator like everybody else was. And the alligator was kind of cute. If you really, I know it's kind of weird to say an alligator was cute, but he kind of was, because he was. It looked like he was doing yoga, like just stretching his arms one way and then the other. So yeah, it was something. It was a great walk. I was really interested in getting some nice pictures, and you can never truly recreate this beautiful place that God has made. You really just can't. You can ruin it. I've seen a lot of pictures or a lot of things in person that were just a shame how even just trash on the ground. It's when you're walking and you see a Taco Bell package, it's like, what the heck? How did they not know to just go ahead and take that to a trash can somewhere? And I see cigarette butts like almost everywhere, it seems like. I guess people aren't smoking as much as they once did, but the cigarette butts are still there. Yeah. All right, what color is that? I don't know what color that is. It's hard to tell which these colors are. I'm just trying to create some thick areas here. It's kind of a combination of thick and thin. Yeah. And it's a lot of yellow and a lot of green. A lot of yellow and green here. Make sure I get a lot of yellow in there because the sun is shining down here. Yeah, we're going to add some vertical lines soon to make it look more like woods, more like trees. Right now it looks like a very, almost an abstract picture. Let's get some more here. We talked about floating down the river. We used to do that when we were younger all the time. It's like a 4-hour. You get in a tube and you float down the river. People have been doing that for years, and Robin and I did that many, many times when we were younger. But we're not younger. Although it takes really no effort. You just lay in there and you let the water do the work. You let the flow of the river do the work. Well, we were talking about doing it yesterday. Maybe we'll do it again. Right? It's always, you never say never, right? Well, maybe sometimes you do. Sometimes you do say never. Or never again. A lot of the water is pooling up on this side of the car. I don't know if you can tell it. So it's keeping that side really wet. And this side is already sort of half dry. Keep some light down here. The light is making it all the way to the ground. The whole picture, really. So we want to make sure we keep some of that light there. Just keep adding dots. Just keep dabbing it in there until it happens, until it looks like what we want it to look like. Make it a little bit darker down here. It's a pretty interesting composition if you think about it. The idea to recreate something with so many different parts, all these leaves and everything, it's not easy. It is easy to mess up. It's easy to make a mistake. But there are always those, as Bob Ross would say, there are always those happy accidents. And I think I'm seeing some right now. So, the advent, if that's the right word, of electric bicycles is something new too. They're out on those trails, and I mean, you look at them and you say, "Oh, I would love one of them." But you know, people ride those bicycles, and they don't ride them with the same caution that they would ride a motorcycle on the street. I don't think, anyway. It seems like they just ride them as fast as they go right down the bicycle trail. And they always call out, "I'm on your left," or "on your left." And then you're supposed to stay to the right. But they don't slow down. I always think, what if I was a little kid and I didn't quite understand what "on your left" meant? Or maybe the parents, or maybe they're not English speaking or something. Who knows? It could be a problem. I would slow down. I think they should slow down. Just make all kinds of little dots. Now that it's drying out, you see, now these little spots are starting to look more like leaves. We want to keep it light in the middle, keep it dark on the edges like it is in the photograph, and try to recreate the beauty of what we saw yesterday. I liked being able to talk to you guys outdoors like that. I think I'd like to hear from you. I'd like to do that maybe more often. Maybe even take the painting, just do the whole painting outdoors. It's not a bad idea. make this channel a little bit different than it's been. Always sitting here. I like sitting here. I like this setup here because it's easy to just turn the camera on and start painting and show you my process. And I guess if I was to do it outdoors, I would have to have some kind of a setup similar. And I'm not so sure I could do it like on an easel, because on an easel, the water, in a watercolor painting, the water would all flow down. And that might not be a bad thing. That would give it a different challenge, I think. Okay, lots of places here where the sunlight comes through. Can you see what I'm doing? Can you tell? I guess you can, right? I get the feeling from reading your comments that you're not necessarily watching as a tutorial. You're watching because you're a fellow artist, and I've done this too. I just watch other people. You never know. You learn something from people, and sometimes it's just cool to kind of hang out. You know, artists don't typically hang out. Usually we're working in a studio by ourselves. And my original idea with this channel was to do exactly that. To just kind of hang out with other artists. I didn't know how that would work. And I guess it's still evolving, but I just kind of hear from you guys. And, oh, I meant to tell you, I did start a Facebook page. Now, okay, I gotta put it in the description underneath because I can't remember. Because there was a Poppa Paints, there was a girl who does face painting, and she called her Facebook page Poppa Paints. And I was surprised to see that. And so I couldn't have that name exactly. So I had to have Poppa Paints, the art of Larry Whitler. So that's what it is. But I don't know if you can find it just by me telling you that. I'm not sure. But that's what it is. And there's a URL for it. And I'll have to put that in the... I think it's facebook.com/Poppa Paints here. I think I put the word here after it just to separate it, because there can't be two people with the same name on Facebook or anywhere, I guess. Anyway, she looked like she was really good at what she does too, by the way. So, all right, you see it's happening now. There's the trail. Look at that. It's all coming together. There's more leaves. There's going to be leaves here in front of the sun. Okay. There's a series of green and yellow and dark. Some little bit of brown here and there. Especially on the trail here. It's coming together. What do you think? I hope it's coming together. keep this area darker. I have to start adding the vertical lines to make it really look more like a wooded area, a forest. A forest. The word forest is an interesting word, isn't it? You think of jungles, you think of forests. A couple of little vertical lines I can do right now just with this brush, but I'll use the smaller brush for most of it. I'll put a couple of big trees here. The trail had a lot of signs, little informational pieces, and they helped you understand what the different trees were called and other wildlife things. They pointed out alligators. They pointed out otters, and we didn't see any otters. I wish we had. That would have been cool. This tree right here. Goes right in front of the sun. Little pieces of little hints of trees, and then of course you can add more with actual leaves, and everything would cast a shadow down here. The sun was coming down through the leaves, through the trees, and creating these little beams of sunlight. Now, the interesting thing is when you're looking at things with your eyes, you don't always see it the way a camera sees it, because a camera has a glass lens, and that glass lens will sometimes cause light to flare. And if you're wearing eyeglasses, it might flare also. So it looks like you're seeing that with your eyes, but that's not really the way you're seeing it. But still, it works nice in a picture, especially in an illustration, you know. So I'm debating right now, because in the photograph it has the rays I'm talking about. But I'm not sure I want to put them in here. I'll give it a shot. I'll probably do it. I'm tempted to do it, I'll be honest with you. I really think it's a good idea. But I don't want to ruin the painting either. Yeah, a lot of these yellows and yellow greens. See how it's coming through there. That a little bit thicker. So I do have a Facebook page. I'm going to invite you to participate in the page and post artwork you've done, post videos you've done. That would be kind of cool. And anything else you want to share. It's the one thing you can do with Facebook that you couldn't really do with YouTube. And I don't know if I'll ever do a live. A lot of people do live videos, which I try to make these as if they're live, you know, but they're not. I think I tried a live one time. I think I did when I first started this channel because I didn't really know what I was doing. So I thought if I tried a live one, I think I did. Pretty sure. And it was horrible because I didn't know. Everything was awkward. Now that doesn't look good right there, does it? That looks wrong somehow. Let me make a few more tiny little vertical pieces here. The truth is there are so many little trees out there. Well, not little. So many thin trees. There were some really large trees too. Very large. What's interesting is when you see palm trees in the wild, how large they actually can get. A lot of times when you see palm trees like on the side of the highway, you know, trees that are put in by landscape people and stuff, they look nice. They do look nice. But they're not as big as the ones that have been around for hundreds of years, maybe? I don't know. I don't know how old a palm tree can live. Alright, I'm getting close to being done with the picture, I think. I don't think this one has a whole lot of more that I need to do. Break some of these lines up a little bit. I'm basically using the wet brush now just to kind of move around some of the colors that have already dried on the paper, just to keep them kind of less defined, I guess is the best way to explain what I'm doing. So there's our trail that we walked yesterday, based on the reference photo. All right, now let me try that other idea. I'm not so sure I like this idea. We'll see. Okay, I take this relatively soft brush. And let's see if it'll work. The idea is to just lift some of the paint and make a ray. Oops. This is the brush that falls apart. Just take some water. I might need to use a different brush. A little bit of a radiating thing happening. Pulling up the color. I don't know if that's working out or not. Yeah, it's okay. A little bit risky, wasn't it, to do that? But that's okay. It's got a little bit of that flare look to it. I'm not completely happy with it because it, in addition to lifting, the color also left little, like watermarks. I might need to put something else in front of it, I think. So let me do that. Let me get my trusty little thin brush here. And just reapply some darkness there. Just take it from the bottom. Cover it back up a little bit. That way we have that flare happening behind this tree. I think that's the solution here. Yeah. Yeah, some of these little limbs coming off the side make sense to me now. And that tree would have leaves on it. It's a nice April day, so it's probably got leaves on it. And you still get that effect of the sun beaming behind it. Yeah, it's okay. I like it now. I almost ruined it, didn't I? That would be an unhappy accident. I wish I could have got to know Bob Ross. I never knew him. I don't know why. I don't know why we say things like that. Like, I wish I could have known somebody. Because the truth is, you do know them. It's not in person, but you do get to know people through the media. And really, you get to know them in the only way you have a right to know them, I guess. When I was a kid, I was a Beatles fan, and I knew where John Lennon lived in New York City. Everybody knew where he lived. But I had never seen him. And so one day, my friend and I wanted to meet him. And so we stood outside the Dakota building on 72nd, West 72nd Street. And there was one other person there. It was a young girl, and she was a bigger fan than we were. And she told us that, don't worry, he will come out. Him and Yoko will come out. And, you know, we waited not that long, maybe an hour. And sure enough, John Lennon came out. And he called a taxi cab and got into the taxi cab with Yoko. And before he left, he called back to us. And he said, I'll be back. And so it was like, oh my gosh, that was cool. That was John Lennon. And I don't know how old we were. We were in our 20s. So we weren't really kids, but from the perspective of what I am now. And then he left. And then I said to my friend, all right, let's go. We saw him. And the girl said, no, he's coming back. And I said, well, he doesn't owe us anything, you know. It was just kind of cool to see him. I hate to be bothering somebody like that just because he's famous. And so, in that regard, to say I wish I could have known Bob Ross, I don't know if that would have been fair, because I really only knew him through the media, through the TV show. You know? Anyway. So we do get to know people through the media. What do you think? Did I overdo it? A few more lines. I guess what I'm trying to do really is to try to accentuate the darkness that is on the outskirts of these pictures. I'm not so sure I like what I did here. Of course, that's on the other side of the card, actually, so I can just not worry about that. Maybe another Stark. Maybe something a little bit closer to the camera. I am using a reference photo, and there are plenty of things close to the camera. I just didn't want to overdo it. There we go. More brush, a little bit of brush here. This is called the Dunnellon Trail. Well, actually, this particular area was called the Pond Trail, but it's just off of the Dunnellon Trail. I wonder if the pond was a natural pond, or if it was the result of strip mining, because they used to do strip mining over there, taking up phosphate. That's what kind of the claim to fame for that area back in the 1890s. Alright, I think it's done. I think it's done. It's like a loaf of bread. We're baking a loaf of bread and it's done. It's ready to eat. Ready to pull out of the oven. Put some butter on it and enjoy it. So that's what we'll do. We'll call it done. Alright. Well, thank you for watching. Hopefully you like this one. Let's see what it looks like. That's alright. Still wet up there, so I can't fold it yet. I'll wait till it dries. Alright, kids. Thank you for watching. That was fun. Alright, I'll talk to you later. Bye.